For October 2nd, 2019, if you please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this great community. We thank you for all the grace and wisdom that you provide us. I ask tonight just to watch over us and help us up here on the dais, guide our city as we go through some pretty major transition here over the next couple of weeks and months. We know that there's a plan, we know that things happen for a reason, and we look forward to seeing how that will unfold. I ask these things in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a proclamation here for Walk and Bike to School Day. Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has been a utilitarian, economical, environmentally sound, and effective means of personal transportation, recreation, and fitness. And whereas the City of Canby encourages the use of bicycles and walking as a means of transportation, and whereas the City of Canby recognizes the bicycle as a legitimate roadway vehicle and therefore is entitled to legal and responsible use of all public roadway facilities in Oregon except highways constructed to interstate standards. And whereas the City of Canby encourages the increased use of the bicycle and walking, benefiting all citizens of Canby by improving air quality, reducing traffic congestion and noise, decreasing the use of and dependence upon finite energy resources, and fostering physical fitness. And whereas the City of Canby recognizes the use of bicycles and walking as a viable modes of transportation, endeavors to promote safe and responsible bicycling and walking, and is committed to incorporating the development of bicycle and pedestrian facilities in the vision for revitalizing downtown Canby. And whereas the City of Canby's Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee and the mayor encourage all citizens to ride their bicycles or walk to work, to the store, to the park, to school, and around their neighborhoods with friends, family, and neighbors in order to promote the personal and societal benefits achieved from bicycling and walking, and to experience the joy and fun of bicycling and walking. Now, therefore, I, Brian Hodson, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Canby, do hereby proclaim today, October 2nd, 2019, as Walk and Bike to School Day in the City of Canby, and do urge all those in Canby area to support safe routes to school and promote this observance. Given unto my hand the 2nd day of October, 2019, in the City of Canby, Oregon. I think we've got someone here to receive this today. Excellent.
Thank you.
Did you want to take a moment and say anything about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much. Just on behalf of the Canby Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee, we'd really like to encourage families to get out, to walk, ride your bikes, and, really get out there and, have a great way to get some exercise, get the endorphins going, get some creativity going, release some stress. It's also a really great way to kind of help reduce the carbon footprint. And we also want to really encourage everybody to look out for each other, and for motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists, all to be there for each other, and just be safe while doing it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Did you want to introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I would love to introduce myself. My name is Shannon Hale. I'm one of the representatives from the Canby Bike and Pedestrian Safety Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Next on the agenda is communications. Mr. Robinson.
I do not.
Okay.
He has nothing he wants to say this time. Good morning, Kim already.
Next on the agenda is citizen input and community announcements. So it's an opportunity for audience members to address the council on items not on the agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. Please fill out a yellow card and make sure that tonight it'll be Joe, and next meeting will be officially our new city recorder, which I'll get to in a little bit. So make sure that's filled out, and then we'll just take them in order. First up, I have Paul. You are up, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Got a quick meeting like this.
Okay, this is to address the explosions used at the Canby High School football games, and I'm going to do a plea here. I wish I could make you understand how the random explosions affect me personally. When is the next one? How many more will there be? When will I be able to calm down? Why is this considered an appropriate tradition that is so disruptive to me, our pets, as well as our neighbors? It includes veterinarian clinics, extended care facilities, as well as signers of the petition. Our city administrator sent a letter to our school superintendent requesting the district stop using fireworks that have an explosive component, which suggested fireworks without the percussive component might be better. Our mayor called this request an appropriate ask. The school district ignored the request. This seems to negate their core values. The city administrator and our mayor made the right call. I have faith that the city council agrees with them. And, okay, the explosions are the same ones that disrupted our neighborhood last year and still does this year. The district members I met with said they will try to find a less percussive firework. Nothing has changed. I asked for help from the city council. I suggested compromise, and I suggested a moratorium from the explosions. Little to nothing has changed. I'm asking the city administrator, the mayor, and the city council to rescind the variance that allows the school district to use explosive devices at the Canby High School football games and initiate a moratorium, during which time a permanent solution may be found. I also respectfully request a response from the city council, and I'm not going to be able to stay here, and you've probably got a short agenda and would like to go home, and I don't blame you, but if I could get somebody to either call me or write a letter, I would appreciate it.
Paul, I will take care of that myself.
Okay.
I will address that with the council here offline, and
Right.
and I'll
And
get
if
you an
there's
answer.
compromise that I don't know of, I haven't heard from the school district. We parted company in a nice fashion, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Next, I have Sandra Stanley, who is selling his time to Amira Stanley. So, Amira, you are up.
Hi, everybody. I am Amira Stanley. I'm 41. I've lived in Canby for 2 years now, over 2 years. I've had the pleasure of experiencing the 2019 Central Conference for the United Church of Christ in Forest Grove at Pacific University this past weekend. I was so excited to attend that on Friday morning I showed up at 9 a.m. when I was supposed to be there at 5 p.m. So I missed the day because I wasn't going to spend 8 hours by myself in Forest Grove. The United Church of Christ believes we are one body and we are all one. The reason I bring this up is to share my unique perspective. I am a member of the LGBTQ community, and I am also a Christian. We live in a time that if others are not like us, we feel they are unlovable. We use God and our beliefs to judge and push others away. Just a few days ago, one of my best friends from Tri-Cities, Washington, tagged me in a post showing me that my pastor is going viral out there, and within 60 seconds of tagging me, she had church friends attacking her because they didn't agree with what she was sharing on her page. Needless to say, I asked her to remove it because I didn't want her dealing with that negativity. I want to read my church's Just Peace Covenant and our mission statement, and then I'll close with a couple other thoughts. Clackamas United Church of Christ, Just Peace Covenant. We, the members of the Clackamas United Church of Christ, recognize God calls us to intentionally work for peace and justice in our world and life together. We covenant with God and each other for a Just Peace church, which is open and affirming, welcoming and accepting of all people regardless of race, sex, sexual orientation, age, nationality, or physical ability. Committed to peace, education, spiritual development, social justice, advocacy, community witness, and ecological stewardship. We strive to make a difference in our lives and the lives of all who experience injustice and violence in our community, nation, and world. We reach out to these people to understand those problems and issues which are often overlooked. The vision of Shalom is present in both our reflection and action. We acknowledge that we have only begun to be what Christ has called us to be by the act of declaring ourselves a Just Peace Church. We know that we are moving closer to living more fully as Christ's faithful followers. And the mission is a lot shorter. The Clackamas United Church of Christ mission statement, in response to the grace of God through Jesus Christ, and with the power of the Holy Spirit, the mission of the Clackamas United Church of Christ Congregational is to be an intergenerational, caring, affirming, and nurturing community which fosters spiritual development, healing, and renewal. We seek to accomplish this purpose through worship, spiritual contemplation, theological education, and active response to the needs of our church community and the world. Our congregation strives to live the teaching of Jesus Christ through our ministries and our Just Peace focus. I want to relay a message to anyone who is seeking acceptance, love, spirituality. You are welcome at Clackamas United Church of Christ or any other Just Peace UCC. I also want to say this. Remember that it is not God that is judging you, it is people. Do not let those people who keep you from seeking God's love. Scripture John 13:34 says, to love one another as I have loved you. I would love to see a church in Canby have an open forum where we can just all sit together, community members. I would have members of my churches come, my pastor come. It wouldn't be a debate or anything disrespectful. I just feel that people need to be educated. People are afraid of what they do not know. I would love to see that happen here. My church is in Milwaukee. We would totally host it there, but I think it needs to happen here. And I would be more than willing to facilitate it, do whatever. So if there's any churches in Canby that are willing to do that, please contact me. And then lastly, I wanted to share the bathroom, gender neutral bathroom pamphlet that we have finished. It is a living document. Anybody that we pass this out to, if they have input, we change it. It's always being changed. But we want to get this to the schools, to businesses. So if anyone has any ideas of how we can get this pamphlet out to as many people as possible, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. Our last card this evening is Kathy Ray Smith.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Kathy Ray. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
As was stated, I'm Kathy Ray Smith, and I am with the Canby Area Beautification Group. I have two announcements tonight I'd like to make, if I may. One is I wanted to let you know that we are doing an annual planting on Saturday, November the 23rd, which is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We'll start at 10 a.m. I want to welcome everyone in the community. We'll have firefighters there. We'll have probably hot chili, hot coffee, and rain or shine. Feel free to come, bring your shovel, and that's, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we're going to be planting along Highway 99E across from the Canby Builder Supply and Millar's, and both of those companies have kindly donated the funds to allow us to purchase the knockout roses that are going to be planted. I also wanted to mention that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we welcome the community's involvement. Any donations go directly to anything that we do for beautification. We have no administrative fees or anything. And we have a Facebook page that is Canby Area Beautification. So we'd love to have anybody interested at all contact us. Any questions? I have another announcement, but
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll stretch for a moment. Do you want to talk about the award that was handed out at the Chamber Luncheon on Tuesday?
Sure, thank you.
Good call there.
Yesterday, we, at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon, we did a Business Beautification Award for 2019, and it's something that we hope to be doing annually. And the recipient of that award was the Canby Pioneer Chapel. And I think that they've just done a spectacular job with both the building the grounds. It's really a wonderful location, and Marilyn Nash was kind enough to give me a tour there. And she told me a story about how when she was having the roof replaced, one of the workers fell through one of the stained glass windows. And the construction crew had said, oh, well, we can just get that fixed. And she said, no, this is an antique window. And so she did the research and wrote to a company in France to get the same type of glass. And so
Wow.
her commitment to beauty, as well as things being done with integrity, I thought was just really exceptional. And I was very happy to award that to them in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce.
Wonderful.
And that being said, I have one more announcement.
Yes, perfect.
The Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with Canby Area Beautification, has a special recognition award that we would like to offer in 2019. About 3 years ago, I met with a group of you and Rick, and I should probably be more formal, but I'm real informal. A group of people from the city to talk about beautification. And it was met with nothing but support and positivity, and from there, there's been a real growing relationship. And I'm excited to offer this little token of appreciation. If I can get this out here. Touching on the glass. 2019 Canby Beautification Special Recognition for your efforts enhancing the beauty of Canby. Rick Robinson, Canby City Administrator, presented with great appreciation by Canby Area Beautification and Canby Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm coming in for a hug.
I am shocked. I had no idea.
Well, ironically, we took a break and it's like, Brian was saying, well, Stretch, tell us about the business beautification. Like that. It's just, you've been such a great help, and I really, really appreciate it.
I haven't really done anything.
That's typical Rick.
A photo with.
Yeah, right.
Sure. The two Canby Area Beautification Pond and Fern. Yeah, and Mayor Hudson, would you please come in and join?
I'll take the picture. I got it. I'll text it.
That means the mayor this year is going to join us.
You're fine.
Everyone look at her first and then me. We'll just
Say horse poop. Horse poop.
All right. Because everybody should have an O mouth in a picture. Thank you, guys.
We want to put something in the mental of Candy. We want you to stay here for a minute. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Well, Rick, hopefully that'll find a spot somewhere for you. Well, very good. We'll move into mayor's business. Just a couple of things. First, I want to welcome our new city recorder, Melissa. Welcome. And we're looking forward to hopefully the first day. Today was your first official day, and so hopefully it wasn't too crazy for you.
Well, I think we need to show our appreciation that she's here.
I know. So yes, Melissa comes to us from the city of McMinnville. So I heard, at the League of Oregon City Conference, I heard
Did you hear
from...
about that?
I did.
Yeah, we
let's see,
said-
the mayor of McMinnville
And the mayor of Monmouth.
and the mayor of Monmouth were, you know,
Both unhappy.
both unhappy with...
We were persona non grata with
Yeah,
that.
as we were walking down the halls, people started grabbing their staff.
Yes.
Hide your
Yes.
staff, hide your kids.
Here comes Canby, hide your staff, yes. So we're excited, and I just asked the council, please give her a little time to get situated before you start bombarding Melissa with too much to do.
You're in the date
Welcome.
tomorrow? Yeah.
Welcome, we're excited to have you.
It's thrilling to have you.
Just want to update the council. Today I met with Sandy Frund, in our planning department. We're moving forward with applying for a grant to fund an economic opportunity analysis in preparation of working on a new city comprehensive plan. So that'll hopefully, I think there's $1 million, $1.5 million being funded to help, or set aside for funding to help with getting these analyses done and for us in terms of preparation for the comp plan that we're going to need to redo here within the next 2 years. Yes, Councilor.
So the point of that is,
Microphone, sir.
so the point of that is, if we get a grant to do that, that is actually one chapter in our comp plan.
Correct. So what that'll do, so that money will fund basically staff time to do the analysis and do what's needed to do that. So we're not paying it out of the general fund. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, yes, so as we look at our comp plan, the economic analysis will be important as it looks at, as we're building off our housing needs assessment. It'll play into that. It'll play into the layout and current status of our industrial park. Do we have the right businesses? Is it laid out correctly? Is there going to be a need for or an appetite for more growth in our industrial park, and what will that look like? So that does dovetail and fold into our comp plan, which Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, we did budget funds this last budget cycle for us to start working on that here probably in the next year and a half or so.
Yeah, we're starting to set funds aside so we can have at least a good starting point. Comp plans are incredibly expensive. We're hoping that we can leverage the city's money with some additional grant funding and help to complete what I think is a really important project.
Yes, so we've done a couple of different revisions and modifications with some Band-Aids on our comp plan, and it's time to redo our comp plan. Councilor Parker?
Well, I think at one of the city's meetings, we were talking to the mayor, or he was giving a presentation, the mayor of Milwaukee, and
Correct.
talking about the amount of growth that has gone in his city in the last 3 years. And we said, how did you do it? And he said, I would not have been able to do it if I didn't have an updated comp plan with language that we all understood that was not ambiguous. And I think this panel has run into that where we just can't figure out what some things mean, so.
Right, so not only on our end, but also talking with planning department today, they too are having to read the gray. And so as we look at, Councilor Parker, and I know we had conversation over the weekend, and Council President Dale and I have had conversation about the projects that we have been executing have been from a comp plan that's 2012 was the last revision, I think, on the comp plan. So,
And that was only a part.
and that was only a small triage. Yeah, so when we look at the initial comp plan, it's 30 years old. So we're at that point where we've got to dive into it. We've got to look at where is Canby going to go, or where we anticipate it growing in the next 20 years. And that kind of goes to our conversation about what do we need to do? What do we need to start putting aside and start looking at and getting ready to accomplish to prepare for more growth, because that is going to happen. So I think it's a good next step, and so I'm pleased with that. Last week I attended the LDAC, Library District Association Committee for Clackamas County. So it's basically a board and committee of representation from all the library districts within Clackamas County. And so just as a refresher to the group, the whole point, we're petitioning the LDAC committee because we have a portion of Canby that our library services, and that's the Karis area. But it falls under Oregon City's library district. So they get the funding while we provide the services. And so our library board and library director have been petitioning the LDAC board to look at getting this exception addressed, and how do we redo the boundary lines. And so it was a rather contentious 2 hours, actually, just on that issue. And you've got a mix of, some of the board sees it, understands it, and wants it looked into. Oregon City, as you can imagine, does not. And so, and the other part of the board wants to wait for this task force to come together. Well, the task force was put together and approved by the Board of County Commissioners a year and a half ago, and nothing has happened since then. And so if we continue to wait on that, it's going to further, I think, inhibit the development of our library and their services. So we're trying to put together a meeting here between Canby and Oregon City to see if we can come to some sort of an agreement that we can then take back to the board. But based on initial conversations that evening, I think it'll be just a meeting to have a meeting, if I'm being truthfully honest. And so I'll have, you know me, I love having meetings for the sake of meetings. So I will go have a meeting and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to update you on, we're still battling that battle. Tomorrow is First Thursday in downtown, so if you're free, come on down. There's lots of fun things planned. C4, so Clackamas County Coordinating Committee is tomorrow evening, so I have nothing to report on that. The Park Advisory Board I reported on last meeting. I attended the League of Oregon Cities conference this last week with a couple of the city councilors, and we had a number of breakout sessions, and one of which was with the mayors, talking about emergency preparedness. And so it was fitting to come back, and this week the Canby Fire District held a emergency preparedness, like just initial kind of meeting with Canby School District and with a number of the businesses in both of our industrial parks to just begin the dialogue of what to do with various emergency situations, whether that be internally with those businesses, or if we look at something much more natural, flooding and whatnot. Big conversation for us at the League of Oregon Cities conference was talking about the Cascadia and how underprepared many of the cities are, and even families are. So something that from that conversation, I'll be working with the police, or sorry, Chief Dale, Chief English at the fire district to work on seeing what we can do about getting organizations together and start, and our CERT team, and start looking at that here over the next couple of months to make sure that we know our role as a city and city council, and then, you know, how we can then start helping some of our citizens get prepared for something which I think is going to be inevitable. Councilor Parker?
Yeah, I think you're probably referencing the seminar that we all went to with the fire chief from Alberta.
Correct.
And I think it instilled in all of us a sense of wanting to put a little more focus on emergency preparedness and just things we hadn't even thought about. For example, he was talking about when wildfires were coming into his town, they had never thought about having a fire break at their water treatment plant. And they had to have a couple of very brave men stay there to run the water treatment plant, even though the fire was coming right at it. Because if they weren't there monitoring it, there wouldn't be any water for the fire hydrants. So again, just things you wouldn't even think about. So yeah, I think it was good for all of us to recognize the opportunities that are out there, and also the fairgrounds has space and facilities and is designated as an emergency spot as well. So there's a chance for some partnership with that.
Yeah, I thank you, Councilor Parker. I think the speaker he's referring to, so fire chief in a town in Alberta, Canada, and they were able to move 88,000 residents out of the town, and they didn't lose a single, it was not a single death.
And they only have 30 minutes notice.
Right.
A town the size of Bend.
Right. And so it was a pretty inspiring speaker, and just an amazing piece on leadership and on just the preparedness. And so it was a great piece to be able to look at and kind of go, where are we if something like that were to happen? I mean, we are surrounded on three sides by river, and we've been known to flood here in Canby, so that's something to deal with. So,
Do you remember what the fire chief's recommendation was to elected officials when you're in an emergency?
I believe he said, get out of the way.
That's right.
Yes.
Get out of the way and stay out of the way.
Right. We will tell you when you're needed and what you need to say, if at all. So, yeah. So that's first and foremost for us, is just get out of the way. Finally, I just want to say that this is our city administrator, Rick Robinson's, last official city council meeting this evening. So next Wednesday, we will be having a retirement party, I guess is what we'll call it, since that's
Informal gathering.
an informal gathering. An informal gathering at,
Is that a sign that he's not ready to retire? Because he's done it before. Was this-
I think he's pretty sure this time.
No,
I'm sure some,
he's selling his
yeah,
suit.
he's selling his suits and ties.
It's a suit sale.
It's a informal gathering and suit sale. Yeah.
So we'll be gathering next Wednesday at 5 o'clock at Gwen's. If you want to come down and say a few words to Rick, send him on his way. He'll be hanging out this next week as we onboard our new city administrator, and then slowly start to not be around as much, and then get ready to get back to reading fun novels and working on projects that have been put on the side, fishing perhaps, or hunting, or all the above. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone to come on down. That concludes my business. We'll start down there with Councilor Berge and start with liaison reports.
I don't have anything to report. I do want to say thank you to Rick. I've only been here a short amount of time, but you've given me a great wealth of your knowledge, and I appreciate that, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Parker.
Yeah, I'll have a lot to say about Rick at his wake, or whatever it is we're calling it, on next Wednesday. Yeah.
Advancing your directive.
I've got some information both from the Historic Landmark Commission on their cleanup of the cemetery, and also of the Bicycle Committee's tour of the Traverso property. And I'm talking to the mayor about the idea of being able to do a short PowerPoint to show you, to take you on site of that. So we're going to be working with our new city recorder on seeing how we can do that. As long as we have the technology here, of being able to take the council places it hasn't been or can't be. I showed the mayor the before and after of this one headstone, and you really saw the hours of work that go into it, and I want to share that with you. So that'll be my next thing. Also, get out your calendars, and as we heard about November 23rd, the planting. I really would like everybody to at least drop in and give some encouragement
When is it, Greg?
to that. That's the November 23rd that we just heard about, the 10 a.m. planting. But that's a very important date in town, and we can and I'll let Councilor Spoon. I won't mansplain the rest of this.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll wait for that in a minute. Councilor Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Likewise, still digesting all we learned at the LSC conference. I don't have a liaison report. CF4 is tomorrow, as you mentioned, and Traffic Safety Commission is next week. And I will save my comments about Rick until next week, as I'll probably get emotional. We've been through a lot, and he's been a support in my personal life as well. So, thank you.
Great. Council President Dale.
Yes, sir. My CUB report for tonight is the lone item on the resolution agenda. So I will defer to Rick on that, except to pass on that CUB is very enthusiastic about this happening. They are very excited. And as Rick knows, I never say goodbye. I just come over and park myself on his back deck. So.
That's not going to change, right?
And I have no intention of that changing. So.
That's awesome. Counselor Varwig.
Thank you. I have nothing for the fire board. Chief Davis was going to report tonight, but I think he had to leave for something.
Get a call. Lights on.
So he left with lights on, so we'll save that for next time. Just know that they're doing good stuff at the fire department. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for attending the LDAC committee meeting. I was not able to be there due to work stuff with my wife, and I couldn't find childcare, so thank you for being there.
Absolutely.
A couple things outside of LDAC. The library board has approved library cards for children ages birth and up. So previously it was only for kids who could sign their name. And now from day one of life, you can have a library card, which is a great thing to get kids reading early. The library board also received a training from our U.S. Census representative, which is helping to estimate some of the amount of revenue that we are disputing, I guess, with Oregon City. So that'll be good. Canby's WIC program is now located at the library, and they are working out of the makerspace room. The library did tell me they are a little bit bummed out that they didn't get a grant for adding a window and a door, considering it's a county program. So hopefully we can work on that a little bit more. And the Councilor Spoon, you'll like this one. The Library of Things.
I know.
Is working. It's up and going. The Library of Things. You can now check out stuff. The metal detector is the most popular item. Oops. So far.
I'm already in line.
Get your name on the wait list if you want to use the metal detector. So
I'm about to see what's underground in Wake Park, you guys.
That's all I have for liaison reports. Rick, I will be on vacation next week, so I'll miss your retirement party, but I'll call you when I get back, and let's have a cigar and some whiskey.
Park on his back deck.
And, I'll park on your back deck too, but thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community and for all of us up here, and we certainly will miss you.
Counselor Varwig, before you conclude, so explain to me, so the WIC office is now inside our library?
The WIC office is now using space inside our library, yes.
So-
They're working out of the maker room.
So they've taken over the makerspace room that
They don't
we did.
operate every day, though, right?
Not every day, no.
No, they're
So
twice a
there it
week. They come in twice a week, and we were hoping to, because the WIC program representatives wanted another doorway and more visibility, so they had asked if we could retrofit. We frankly thought that it was a pretty easy ask of the county to use county funds to support a county program, so we were a little bit surprised that that the award wasn't granted to our library for the improvements that we were proposing, because they were solely based on trying to support that program more fully. There may be a little bit of a rub between the county and the city now relative to the library district boundaries, and I think that could have maybe had an effect on the decision makers or the recommenders. So it wouldn't be a bad thing to, and I am aware of who at least one of the decision makers was, so it wouldn't be a bad thing to perhaps have mayor and councilors check in with your contacts on the county commissioners and encourage them to take another look at how those funds are allocated and look at the beneficial use that the city of Canby would make, not just for Canby residents, but for all WIC participants in this region. The Canby WIC is established in our library doesn't serve simply Canby residents. It has a larger audience, and I think it'd be a good idea to see greater support for it.
I think all of us had a chance to talk to our county commissioners, so.
Yeah, it was very disappointing and frankly a little surprising to me that it wasn't the very top project on the list, because I think it has tremendous merit.
Can I ask, did they provide us any additional support since we started Housing WIC here, or is it just?
This is the first week. We're
Okay.
just bringing them in under a new couple-year agreement to be able to provide that support to our community and neighboring communities.
And I love that we're able to provide the support, but since the city finances the library, they haven't provided anything to accommodate them using the space that we're paying for.
No,
Okay.
we allow
That's what I
use
was
of the
trying to figure
space as a
out. Okay.
nonprofit, as we would any.
for sure, but it would be nice for them to accommodate.
It would be nice, and it would help their program too.
Yeah.
But it is still going to happen whether we have that funding or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Barger. Councilor Spoon.
I don't have any liaison reports. Largely, it was covered with the exception of the suspense that Councilor Parker left about November 23rd, and that's because that is the Bridging Cultures Thanksgiving dinner. So if you are in town Saturday, November 23rd at 7 p.m., it's the Bridging Cultures dinner at Bigger Prairie Middle School, and it is for everyone to come and break bread with your neighbors and be a part of a community. And so it's a fantastic event. Many of us have been before. I think almost everyone up here has been at least once. It's a great event, and it's an opportunity to break bread with neighbors and share the spirit of Thanksgiving. So that's a great event. And then I will share most of my words for Rick for next week. But I will say, because the viewers at home, as Councilor Henley puts it, may not understand how much you've done for us, and in nerd talk, since I am the other nerd on Councilor Dale, they often say you don't always get the hero you want, you get the hero you need. And we have been lucky enough to get both in you.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Spoon, that was very nice. Moving to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda, which is the minutes of the September 18th, 2019 City Council regular meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion's been made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Hensley to approve the consent agenda, which include just and only the minutes of the September 18th, 2019 City Council regular meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries 6-0. We have no public hearing this evening, and we'll move into resolutions and ordinances.
Okay, so this is Resolution 1322, authorizing the mayor to execute a property exchange agreement between the City of Canby and Canby Utility for the exchange of Canby Utility's 54.3% ownership in the Public Works shop property for undeveloped property adjacent to the shop's property to be used as future Canby Utility water treatment facility, and authorizing the city administrator to sign all documents necessary to complete the property transaction.
Thank you.
I am really excited to bring this to you. One of the early discussions that I had with leadership here and with Canby Utility representatives was the process under which the ownership of the shop's property, which today is 54% owned by Canby Utility and 46% owned by the City of Canby, how that transfer could be facilitated so that ultimately the shop's property would be wholly owned by the City of Canby once Canby Utility completed their new development on South Pine. Dan Murphy and I have talked about this, I think, every year since my arrival here. Talked about a lot of different ideas, but over the last 6 months or so, an idea started to gel and come together, and that was an idea that would benefit both the Canby Utility, and in saying that, my view when I look at relationships between organizations like Canby Utility, Canby Fire, the Chamber of Commerce, and the city is, what can we do to benefit the residents of this community, and how can we, in partnership with the other organizations whose sole purpose exists to benefit the residents of the community, how can we facilitate that? Looking at this opportunity and understanding that Canby Utility has water rights with the Willamette River, but not a means to access those water rights. We had a series of discussions, and it turned into a possibility that we could exchange land that's immediately adjacent to where our current shop's property is, along with a dedicated easement to get from the property that we're proposing to be used for Canby Utility's future water treatment expansion to the Willamette River. In exchange for dedicating that land, Canby Utility would give us ownership to the 54.3% that they currently control in our shop's property. That idea was met favorably from all of you when I just kind of mentioned it. During our very, very early conversations, Dan took it to his board, and they were pretty excited about the possibility too, as it addressed their probably most significant long-term need, which is how they are going to continue to meet the needs of the citizens of Canby, met one of our greatest long-term needs, which is how we're going to make sure water is still available to the city of Canby as it continues to build out, and also address one of our desires, which is to be the sole owner of the shop's property. So ultimately a win-win for all agencies involved. We made trips out to the area that is currently undeveloped. It's actually designated as parkland, but it was purchased many years ago and doesn't have covenants that would encumber it and cause it to not be available for this kind of use. As all of you know, in August, we took an initial step to using the property it would be on the east side of our access road to the shop's property, identifying, again, for the benefit of the residents of the city of Canby, space for a north side fire station for the Canby Fire. This is kind of the next step in that larger vision of how we can serve this community as it continues to build out. And that was about an acre of land. This is 5 acres. I provided a map to you because I thought one of the concerns that you might be, one of your concerns could be that, is this going to look gaudy? Is it going to ruin the atmosphere at Eco Park? Is it going to be something that we're going to have to look at from Territorial Road every time we drive down it? And the answer to that question is clearly no. You won't be able to see it from Territorial. The walkway that exists now, the logging road, and the walkway through Eco Park will still remain intact. Dan even has some ideas to really improve and beautify a certain portion of that 5-acre space that would be Canby Utility to make it even more attractive for people to use. Over the long term. Over the short term, it will stay just the way it is now. So in looking at this, it seems just like a wonderful opportunity both for the city of Canby and for Canby Utility to meet our longer term objectives and continue to serve the needs of the community. So I'm excited to bring to you this resolution with the recommended motion. I know it's a long recommended motion, and it is because we're still in the process of completing the survey, which creates a legal description, which we'll use to create a new parcel. And we've had surveyors out, and so we've completed that portion. You can actually go out, drive that road, and as you are heading north, you'll see a stake on the side of the road on the left side as you're headed north, where the property starts, and then it continues on to the fence that is now the joint city of Canby and Public Works and Canby Utility shops complex that will ultimately be the city's. So I'll give you kind of a good context for how it is and how it is laid out, how it will set, what the impact will be on the beauty in that area, which is little or none, and you'll see the direct benefit associated with placement there and our ability to designate an easement from that space all the way to the Willamette River, upstream from our wastewater treatment plant site where we put the water back in the river after we've treated it, not before we've treated it, after we've treated it. So it seems to meet all of, check all the boxes that we have. And as I said, I'm really excited about being able to bring this to you. At my very last meeting, we hustled. This was something that Dan was anxious to try to get done while I was still here, because we had that knowledge and rapport that we developed over the years of conversation about this, and we both felt that it was important enough to fast track and get it before you, even though we didn't have the legal description quite yet. And that again is why the recommended motion is kind of long and delegates to the new city administrator the responsibility just to finish the survey, to get the new documents recorded, and then the property transfer can occur. I'm very excited about it.
So some background.
Yes, please.
Yeah, just as a reminder, background, what's the phrase for the public, for the audience?
For the viewing
And also for
audience.
some of us that are newer, this Canby Utility Board is responsible for our water supply. We have kind of a quirky charter. The city of Canby actually owns the infrastructure, but Canby Utility does all of the management for it, including capital improvements and everything. And they have been exploring for at least the past 8 years what the future of a water supply looks like in Canby. Right now, every drop that we drink comes out of the Molalla River. We're a single source water system. We do not have backup wells anywhere else. It's all about the Molalla. We also have some aging infrastructure at our current water treatment plant. It was old when I went to Eccles next door to it, and they diligently improve it, but there's just really no room for expansion down there, and future improvements like better purification, dealing with smell and algae and stuff are really difficult to accomplish in that facility. So they have been diligently exploring what's next in terms of water for a lot of years. And in the end, for this particular area, it comes down to the Willamette River is really the only viable high-volume water source for Canby. They have explored wells extensively. There is just not the flow nor the water quality in the Canby area to supply our needs in the future. They do hold a permit to pull water out of the Willamette. They already have that. That is like gold for an agency to have. They are extremely difficult to get. They're administrated by the state. They are like a star trader card for a basketball team. They have explored options such as could we partner with Clackamas River Water District, which is in Oregon City, and pull water from the Clackamas River and pipe it over. The geography between here and Oregon City is really difficult to pull that off. It's very hilly, it's a very long pipe, tremendous amount of right-of-way easement, and a lot of exposure to seismic risk, which means earthquakes could crack our pipe. They've looked very seriously at trying to partner with Wilsonville, which has a very extensive intake facility. In fact, we could trade our permit over to them for our share of the water. That's just not an option. They're at a capacity and not a position to add to it to let us partner in. There's another major intake going to happen in Wilsonville for Tualatin Valley. They're going to put in a 6-mile pipeline to their water treatment plant, but they'll pull out near Wilsonville, and it doesn't look like, pardon?
I think Hillsborough as well.
Hillsborough was pulling off of that as well. So the west side is thirsty for water as well, but for a lot of reasons, there's just not an opportunity for us to partake in that as well. And as well with Wilsonville, we again have a very long pipeline, extensive right-of-way, a lot of seismic risk, multiple bridges to cross, one of them federal, which adds a whole set of layers of jurisdictions to deal with. And in fact, that rapidly got to the point where it's the same or as much money as to have our own local plant. So it's not officially inked in the master plan yet, but a local intake and water treatment plant is very much looking to be what we need to do for Canby in the future. And this gives them the land to do it. So Canby Utilities is very excited about it. Dan Murphy was verbally singing the praises of our own Rick Robinson at the last board meeting. He's doing handstands over this. It's just a wonderful deal. And the board
appreciates the council and especially Rick for working so hard on that. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move for Resolution 1322, authorizing yourself to execute a property exchange agreement between the City of Canby and Canby Utility for the exchange of Canby Utility's 54.3% ownership in the Public Works shop property for undeveloped property adjacent to the shop's property to be used as a future Canby Utility water treatment facility, and authorizing the city administrator to sign all documents necessary to complete the property transaction.
Second. You got 3 seconds. We're all excited about it.
So the motion's been made by Councilor Dale and seconded by Councilor Spoon to approve Resolution 1322, authorizing the mayor to execute a property exchange agreement between the City of Canby and Canby Utility for the exchange of Canby Utility's 54.3% ownership in the Public Works shops property for undeveloped property adjacent to the shops property to be used as a future Canby Utility water treatment facility, and authorizing the city administrator to sign all documents necessary to complete the property transaction. The only other comments I will make on this is this conversation began, you and I, with previous
Matt Michaels.
Yeah,
Matt
previous
Michaels.
Cub director and 2 previous chairman
Years
of
ago.
Canby Utility Board.
Before that.
And a previous city manager. So I'm very glad that we're able to get this completed and have this future planning in place for that facility and be able to bring water. Councilor Parker?
Sarah's first.
Oh, pardon me.
I just want to say, it feels like a very fitting last meeting for Rick to have this, which is really exemplifies your ability to be solution-oriented and find common ground between agencies and figure out what the best thing for the community is and how we can all get there. And I'm really excited because this really is in everyone's best interest, and it opens up opportunities for our community in the future, for livability, for having a sustainable water system that we didn't have prior. And so I'm really excited, and thank you for working so hard to get it done on your, as you rapidly exit the door. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Parker.
I was going to mention that this is quintessential, Rick, of a win-win. Our city management leadership has not always had that concept that if we won, that was good enough. So I know Scott's probably watching tonight, so this is the tenor of how we like to run our city. I do have 2 questions, one for Tim, one for Rick. Rick, I just want to make sure there's been a renewed interest in getting some momentum back again on the Wayside Park. This is not going to limit our options on the Wayside Park.
No, this is not part of Wayside Park at all.
All right, that's one. Tim, 2, is it within the realm of possibility or probability that when Cub does get to the point of putting a water treatment plant on the Willamette, would the other one be decommissioned?
That's something they're talking about. Nobody's anxious to decommission because there's tremendous security in having 2 water sources.
Okay.
So should the Willamette have an event, we could pull water out of the Molalla, for instance.
Well, I think you know where I'm going, is that's beautiful riverside property there.
It is.
That would make an excellent park or a small home village or something like that. And I just want to put that in the community's mind.
Yeah.
That and they do have an adjacent acreage of blackberry bushes.
They do.
That they aren't using
That
anything
is unused.
And as well, on 4th and Fur, they've got that decommissioned water tank, which I'd like them to do something with.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm in full support of this.
Yeah, and interesting, Mr. Mayor, they have talked about the option of could they decommission the water treatment plant, but keep the intake on the Molalla and pipe it down to the new, pipe raw water down to the new plant.
Or just have it as a backup.
That's how they would use it. Turn some wheels, we pull out of Molalla instead of the Willamette, for instance, so.
Well, the other challenge too, that's been in conversation with Dan, and you and I have had this conversation, is water needs for the local area to begin, later on. So Barlow, Aurora, Hubbard, what are their water needs going to be, and do we end up becoming a major player in support of their growth and their water needs, and so the need for both of those facilities. So there's
There's
still a lot to be worked out in that regards.
It really points out how lucky we are when we're talking about communities that need to build 6 miles of pipeline to get water.
Right.
How lucky we are to have multiple opportunities and 2 agencies that are interested in doing the right thing and getting it done. Yeah.
What the mayor is bringing up is that there's increasing, pressure would be an overstatement word, but increasing nudge from the state to have regional water solutions.
Is it a nudge?
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
And so, the mayor and I and Dan have talked about, could we be that regional anchor, in particular for places like Aurora and Barlow, and maybe even Hubbard, that small communities have a tremendously difficult time finding the capital to keep their water facilities up to date, and the state really likes nice centralized regional suppliers going forward.
I like that idea, because I think even the smallest water treatment plant, that you don't decrease the cost. At a certain point, you do not decrease the cost once you start putting the equipment in. And Tracy, I know it's been a while since I've quoted my father, so he used to say, "Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting."
Yeah.
There you
and
go.
we saw that at League of Cities, is how many cities were facing huge capital investments in the coming years. So no, all of this makes sense. Good work, Rick.
Thank you.
Great. So with that, any other discussion or comments? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries 6-0. We have no new business. City Administrator business and staff reports. Mr. Robinson?
Maybe a final curtain coming down comment. Before I do, I do want to acknowledge Dan Murphy and his work and collaboration and constant discussions about this water issue and trying to find a workable solution that was both beneficial to the city and to Canby Utility, and also express my appreciation to the Canby Utility Board for embracing this solution and making it possible. Because obviously without the support of both Dan as the administrative leader and the policymakers, this would not have been possible. And this was a big step, I think, for both agencies, and I see it as nothing but a positive outcome. So I just want to express that. And with that, thank you to each of you for letting me, for allowing me to be your city administrator for the past 5 years. It's been a remarkable experience for me. As you know, I am something of a veteran as it comes to working in an executive capacity in local agencies, and this has been an extraordinary pleasure, and obviously fraught with challenge. If there aren't challenges, then your city administrator is not doing their job properly, because with challenges come opportunities, with opportunities comes growth. Even if those opportunities result in failures, we hopefully learn from our failures and move on. For me, I've had a chance to work with 4 of you from day one, which is in itself over 5 years pretty remarkable. And the other 3 that have since joined are just doing an amazing job, and I appreciate each of you and the individuality that you bring to the conversations, and which are sometimes somewhat challenging to me. I will be, the first to admit.
You're welcome. You're welcome for the opportunity.
Yeah.
But for me, this has been just a very precious opportunity, something that I'll remember throughout the balance of my life as a high point during my career. I particularly want to thank you for, and this will be a little more difficult for me to say, for your support during some pretty challenging health issues with our family, and you have been there in our corner every step of the way. It's been a very, very challenging, daunting time, and made possible because of your understanding and willingness to add the flexibility that would allow me to continue to do my job and still meet my overarching priority, which is my family. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for that support. It's meant the world to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
And that's all I have to say.
May I make a quick staff report?
Yes,
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
So to, I guess, mimic Rick's true sincerity, I had the pleasure of sitting in as our newest employee here. We met with her for a couple hours ahead of coming to the meeting, and Rick had nothing but the nicest things to say about everybody in the room, and he had nothing but wonderful things to say about Canby, and that he thought that this was his the best job he's ever had. And I started thinking myself, this is the best job I've ever had, and that's in part because of this man sitting here. So I am really appreciative, and I'm appreciative that you guys hire some really quality people. I'd like to put myself in that category as well.
So it's
No, but that you guys.
Is his review coming up?
Let me check for when Joe's review is coming up.
It's coming up pretty in
That-
spring.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But no, I really do appreciate being able to work with somebody so quality and so professional, and so kind and warm and sincere. It's refreshing. The other part of my world, I deal with crime, so it's actually really nice to have somebody who leads by example, and who really puts his money where his mouth is all the time. And actually, it's a great mentor. And he didn't even just put it in my face. He just led by example. So it was an excellent opportunity for me. It made me a better person as well. So thank you, Rick.
Okay. We're gonna get, we all start crying.
Problem is, if we adjourn this meeting, then Rick's done. If
I
we
have a few
adjourn this
more
meeting-
items here, guys, so.
I noticed
So
the
next
tissues in front of me.
Next opportunity for citizen input, if anybody would like to. Yes.
Carol, you wanted to input?
Let's just hold hands.
It's a joke, okay?
Okay.
Say that now. But as a member of the fake media, I would like to say there's entirely too much good stuff going on. There has to be something underlying all this goody stuff. That's it.
Keep looking. Check Canby now.
No.
That's the real media. Ask them.
Action review.
Ask them.
See what you guys feel about
No, Carol, you missed my joke. They are the
all
real
right.
media. Ask them. They'll tell you that.
All right, so tonight you have reviewed or approved the consent agenda and adopted Resolution 1322.
Excellent. And we have,
Very good, Mosa.
we have no executive session this evening, so I'll take a
I move
motion.
we adjourn. I actually said I move we adjourn.
Thank you. Wow. Motion's been made by Councilor Hensley to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Varwig. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Canby, good night. Thank you.
I threw them off the same.